Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswating Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhiraye. Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Neshtiki. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Srinita Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So welcome everyone. Thank you for attending the class. Now just one question. Can you hear a rumbling noise at the back here?
No.
No, okay. Because I've got a fan because it's kind of hot here, so it's okay.
Oh.
So we stopped at the verse 13, I think. Right?
Yeah, I'm trying to check my bookmark. Text 12 is where I stopped. I don't know whether I'm. How it's come?
I think we stop at text 12.
Yeah, it's 12.
Yeah.
It's 12 I'm seeing here also.
12. Yeah, we talked about the Mahabharata. And we talked about the difference between the Mahabharata, the Puranas, and Srimad Bhagavatam and Vedanta, which is Prabhupada is explained in the purport of the 12. Okay, so today we start with text 13, and we hopefully we can cover at least 20 verses. Hare Krishna. So, everyone ready? We can.
Yes, we can go ahead.
Text 13. Sraddadhanasya vivardhamana viraktim anyatra karoti pungsam harer padanushmriti vinirvritasya samasta dukkhapyayamasu dhatte. For one who is anxious to engage constantly in hearing such topics, Krishna Katha gradually increases his indifference towards all other things. Such constant remembrance of the lotus feet of the Lord by the devotee who has achieved transcendental bliss vanquishes all his miseries without delay. So in this verse, in the text 13, actually the result of hearing Krishna Katha is discussed. So in the purport, you will see that actually we can identify various things glorifying Krishna Katha, and it's also in the verse. One of the characteristics of hearing Krishna Katha is one is never satiated. One is never, okay, I had enough. You never get that feeling, okay, I have had enough, unless one is completely under the mode of passion and ignorance and does not develop a taste for hearing Krishna Katha, then that consciousness is very much covered. Then in that case, actually, one will not want to hear Krishna Katha. But generally, one is never satiated by hearing Krishna Katha, as may be the case for other types of hearing or narrations, right? We may want to hear newspapers, news, YouTube, this and that. After a while, you'll get up, you will feel that there's no point in it. You get fed up. But Krishna Katha actually increases, the taste for hearing increases, and you want to hear more and more. Now, hearing Krishna Katha also increases indifference to other things. This is explained in the text itself. You can write down. Or indifference to other things will develop as we develop the taste for hearing Krishna Katha. Okay? Like you will not have taste for any mundane kind of hearing. All right? And Prabhupada, obviously, he talks about the impersonalist. He said that the impersonalist will not have any desire. All materialistic people addicted to sinful life, like I've explained, they will not have a taste for hearing Krishna Katha. Now, this Krishna Katha is the one thing that can do good for all humanity. Just by disseminating Krishna Katha, the whole world can be purified, right? And therefore, we should hear more and more Krishna Katha. And one thing that is said also in the text is it will remove all kinds of misery, yeah, and we'll experience transcendental bliss. So 6 things, okay? So please write down. If you don't write down, don't take notes and revise through the notes, you will only absorb 10%. And if you have notes and you revise again, you will absorb 80%. So there are 5 things. You're never satiated. Hearing Krishna Katha increases indifference to everything else. Impersonalist and sinful persons have no taste for hearing Krishna Katha. And Krishna Katha can do good for all people in the world.
Can you slow down a little bit, Professor? Because I like the points, and so that because I'm taking notes.
I can hear you well. You have to increase your volume.
Okay, let me see. Hare Krishna, can you hear me now? Is it better?
Better, but not as good as I expect. Maybe.
Okay. I don't know what's happening to my speaker.
It's okay.
Yeah. So I was just saying that maybe if you can slow down as you are.
I'm hearing you properly.
Okay. So I was just requesting that maybe you slow down as you're itemizing, because when typing, I want to get it as you say.
Okay. So by hearing Krishna Katha, will become indifferent to the other things in the world. By hearing Krishna Katha, okay, we are never satiated. Only people who are sinful and impersonalist cannot appreciate Krishna Katha. And Krishna Katha can do good for the whole world. And it vanquishes all miseries. And 6, it gives all happiness.
I'm so slow writer, I don't know. Please, can you repeat them once again? Sorry. I've gotten only 5.
Which one you got?
Not satiated. Krishna is not satiated. It's not indifference to material topics. Only sinful people cannot appreciate Krishna Katha. It does good to the whole world.
And then it vanquishes all miseries. And it gives bliss in the heart. 5 and 6.
It gives bliss to the heart. And it
gives
benefits
bliss in the heart.
It benefits all. Okay, I think I get it now. Thank you.
So text 14, actually we've covered text 14, but we just read it here. O sage, persons who because of their sinful activities are averse to the topics of transcendence and therefore ignorant of the purpose of Mahabharata, Gita, they are pitied by the pitiable. I also pity them because I see how their duration of life is spoiled by eternal time, while they involve themselves in presentations of philosophical speculation, theoretical ultimate goals of life, and different modes of ritual. So people have other goals, impersonal speculation, and karma kanda. they may not have the attraction for hearing the philosophy of Gita or the Srimad Bhagavatam. So in the purport, Prabhupada is explaining, according to the modes of nature, there are three kinds of relationship between human beings and the Supreme Lord. Those in the mode of ignorance, those in the mode of passion. They are generally averse to the existence of God, or they accept the existence of God in the capacity of an order supplier, especially those in the mode of passion. They only see the Lord as the person who supplies all facilities. Those in the mode of ignorance are gross and joyous. They have no idea that even God exists. But those in the mode of goodness, that's a little bit a higher class of men. Okay? They accept bhakti and they accept hearing Krishna Katha as a means and not the end. So very interesting. They accept the cult of bhakti in which hearing of Krishna Katha is the first item as a means but not the end. So those are in the mode of goodness. They accept devotional service or bhakti as a means of a better life, but not as an end. Those who are pure devotees, who practice the principle of serving Krishna in the transcendental stage, ultimately beyond the material mode of goodness. They appreciate the name, fame, form, quality, and pastimes of the Lord on the absolute plane as the very essence of their goal and their attainment. They want to come to that realm. They are actually pure devotees, and they don't hear Krishna Katha as a method, but as a very goal, ultimately, to realize Krishna Katha. See the difference? Is it clear?
Yeah.
Madhuvan Prabhu, is it clear?
Not too clear. No, not too clear, Prabhu. Because they said the impersonal or those in the mode of goodness, they accept cult of bhakti, in which hearing of Krishna Katha is the first item as a means and not the end. So if they're impersonalists, there is no way they can even ask Krishna Katha because they don't believe in Krishna. So talk less of taking it as a first item or a means.
They may be
I'm a
jnani,
bit confused there.
they may be jnani,
Okay.
and they may also be, they may be worshipping Vishnu, the Supreme Lord. They may be doing puja and so many items of Vishnu, and they may think that Vishnu is actually in the same position as a Devata. They may also have knowledge about being the Supreme Lord, but they direct their service, they direct the worship to the Supreme Lord as an order supplier as well. But because they are worshipping the Supreme Lord Vishnu or other incarnations of the Supreme Lord as a means for getting purushartha, material benefits, rather than, so they think about Krishna Katha, they think about activities in relationship to the Supreme Lord, which is of devotional nature in the mode of goodness. 1 minute. Someone's bothering at the door. Yes. Do you follow me?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. And the devotee, he wants to attain bliss and service and seva at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord by serving the Supreme Lord. And he considers Krishna Katha as a goal, not a means. So that is beyond mode of goodness. Passion and ignorance means I want to get something. And they don't even appreciate Krishna Katha. In the mode of goodness, they may appreciate Krishna Katha as a means. And in the transcendental mode, Krishna Katha as a very means for satisfying the Supreme Lord by hearing his pastimes. So now we move to 15. Okay. Tadasya ko sarva sarvadhatu harer katham eva katha susharam udritya pushpebhaivarta bandho Sivayana Kirtaya Tirtha Kirte. O Maitreya, O friend of the distressed, the glories of the Supreme Lord can alone do good for people all over the world. Therefore, just as bees collect honey from flowers, kindly describe the essence of all topics, the topics of the Lord. So here we can see that Vidura is giving an indication of what he wants to hear. And he's saying that you have to be like Madhukara, like the bee who collects the honey. So please, I have heard about pastimes, Mahabharata, and so on and so forth. I just want to hear Krishna Katha. So this section, you see Vidura's exclusive interest in Krishna Katha. So there are different persons in different modes of nature, like we've discussed in the text 14, who have desire for different things. Okay? But here, Vidura says, we want to get the honey. So what is the essence of all talk? Talks about Krishna. What is the essence of all katha? Krishna Katha. What is the purest form of narration? Krishna Katha. What is the best things for the world? Krishna Katha. What is the best things to remove our illusion and our misery? Krishna Katha. What is the best form of activity to give us joy? It's Krishna Katha. So therefore, this, and what is the thing that we will continually want to hear more and more and never be satiated is Krishna Katha. So therefore, Vidura says, let's get on with it. Let's get on with Krishna Katha. Right? Sometimes I follow some seminars or some motivational thing in ISKCON. There's so many of these going on, and we structured discussions and seminars and so on and so forth. But there's not much reference to Krishna Katha and pastimes from Chaitanya Charitamrita or Srimad Bhagavatam. It doesn't, right? I can hear it once, twice. It doesn't give. But when you're hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam, that's real juice. It's the juice of life, isn't it? So sometimes in ISKCON we have motivational speakers, an awful lot of motivational speakers. I can hear them once and I don't go back again. It just doesn't do anything because it's not direct Krishna Katha. It's a little bit like what Vidura is suggesting here. Let's get on with the direct Krishna Katha. You'll appreciate that. What is your realization on this? I want to hear. Please. Chitra, where are you? Prabhu. Are you there or it's your name only? Are you feeling your name is the same as the name of Krishna? It's non-different than Krishna. You put your name and you're not there. There's a difference between us, our name, and Krishna. Okay. Let's hear your realization. Anyone?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Okay.
Jyoti Swarup.
Yeah, Prabhuji. Sometimes I feel actually what you said is very, very true. But, Prabhuji, like motivational speakers from ISKCON, Sometime, I mean, I can comment, like when if somebody is not onto that level, well, if they are not pure in devotional service or they are not attached, at least they have some beginning. So by listening those ideas, at least they will attracted towards the scriptures.
Very well said.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Very well said. In the initial stages, they may be attracted to the style or presentation, to a little bit of the substance, but the brushing the dust from the brain and really
Yes,
wow, inspirational, right?
yes,
Like
yes,
that.
yes, Prabhuji.
But ultimately we'll have to graduate ourselves where pure Krishna Katha is all that we are interested in, just like Vidura. It's a very nice example here. Very nice example. He said all the history talks and all the kings, what they did and how Krishna came and did this and how they got that and how they got this inspiration and how they acted in a dharmic way, this way, that way. He said, you're going to the flower, fine. I can appreciate the beauty of the flower. Great. But let's get the honey from the flower. Right? So maybe, Jyotisharu Prabhu, maybe it's like the other things is just, oh, nice flower. Let me go and see the flower. But the essence of the flower is the honey. Right? So all these motivational talk is making a very nice garland of all the flowers. But the bees are not interested in the nice, beautiful shape of the flowers and the composition of the garland. They're interested in the honey. That's a nice comparison, I think. Right? So if you come to the point where you're interested in the honey, and that's what Vidura is interested in, the honey, which is pure Krishna Katha. Everything directly related to Krishna Katha. Over and over again, Krishna Katha. And our Srila Vyasadeva, he had revised he had written Srimad Bhagavatam. And when Narad Muni came and said to him, what's happening? Why are you feeling so despondent? 1.538. He said, I don't know. I've done everything properly. He said, you haven't talked about Krishna Katha. And then he told him, go in trance and meditate and see the Lord and then rewrite. So then he came and he had full darshan of the Supreme Lord. There's a samadhi of Vyasadeva. He sees the Supreme Lord completely in absorption. He sees Maya, he sees activities of the Lord, and he comes out of his trance and he starts revising the Srimad Bhagavatam he had written and include all the honey of Krishna Katha into it. And then he becomes very satisfied. Right? So interesting. This is a very nice reference to that. And I'm thankful to my spiritual master for giving me that little understanding and sharing it with you. So text 16, kindly chant all those superhuman, kindly chant all those superhuman transcendental activities of the Supreme Controller, personality of God, who accepted incarnations, fully equipped with all potency for the full manifestation and maintenance of the cosmic creation. So these are the questions he's asking. These are the questions he's asking. So if you look at all the questions that Vidura asked Maitreya, they will go like this. Okay? Let me see. Can I share, my friend?
Yes, yes, you can do that.
Okay, it will be like this. Can you hear it? So yeah. These are the questions Vidura asked Maitreya in these verses 1 to 16. We just concluding 1 to 16. Okay. He says, how do one live for real happiness? Because he said it's not certainly by fruitive activities. Please instruct me on the devotional service of the Lord so that the Lord from within can give knowledge of the absolute truth. And then he asks this question previously, how does Lord Krishna and the Lord of Purushas create the material world? How does he enter into the cosmos and expand many forms? And then we just heard, describe the Lord's pastime that create auspiciousness for the cows, the brahmanas, and the devatas. He asks us about that. How does he create the different planets along with the rulers and jivas in different, that he asks a little bit later. And how does the Brahma create the different natures, features, activities, and forms of the living creatures? That he has asked before, which we did in 7, 8, and 9, and the different incarnations. That was in 7. So these are the questions, more or less, he asked. But then because it is so varied, Maitreya didn't know where to start. So then Vidura gave him some hint. Let's start here. So it's a very long samvad between Vidura and Maitreya. It goes on for several chapters and a few cantos. So you will see in text 16, can I continue?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, he says, kindly chant all the superhuman transcendental activities of the Supreme Controller for accepted incarnations. So he does ask about that. Describe the Lord's pastimes in the different incarnations. It's all there in that list I gave. So 1 to 16, it's covered. Okay?
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
All right. Now, text 17 to 21, there's these 4 verses, 5 verses. Maitreya Rishi honored Vidura and expressed gratitude. So even though Vidura was a pure devotee of the Lord, incarnations of Yamaraj, considered Mahatma, can anyone try to attempt to answer this question? Why does he seek Maitreya? Because the Lord was thinking about him. He met Uddhava and he had an interesting discussion. Why does Vidura actually want to go and hear from Maitreya? It's a Varnashram kind of question. Because Vidura was a Kshatriya and he was also a Dasiputra, so of kind of a lower level. So he considered that associating with Brahmanical person, with the Rishi, with a spiritual master, who is he is a renounced person, and whose only aim is to propagate the message of the Lord, even though he may be very advanced, because it's a question of Varna. He's a Dasiputra, and he is more or less a Kshatriya kind of person, involved with armory and fighting and politics and diplomacy. And he was an advisor. So he went out on Vanaprastha. So he seeks the association of someone of a higher spiritual or ashram stature, even though he himself is a pure devotee. So,
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna
yes.
Prabhu. Yeah, can I ask a question just at that juncture?
Yeah, Salika, you have to sort out your, I struggle to hear you.
I don't know. Okay, let me use a device. I think my speaker is, I can hear you clearly. Can everybody hear me clearly? Is it?
Now I can hear you a bit better.
Okay. Okay.
I think
I
you're
wanted
sitting.
to ask a question. Okay, I wanted to ask a question at that point when you're talking about why Vidura approached Maitreya and you were explaining the Vana concept. How do we relate this with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction that whoever knows the science of Krishna should be accepted as a guru? So if Maitreya was a Grihastha and not a renunciate, would Vidura not approach him? Because he knows Krishna. He has heard directly from Krishna. So if he was a Grihastha and not a renunciate, will Vidura not approach him?
You see, in the previous yuga, not following the rules of your varna was considered sinful. That's why Krishna said to Arjuna, if you neglect your duty and you run away, you'll be incurring sin. So Yudhishthir Maharaj had to act like a Kshatriya, Brahmanas had to act like Brahmanas, and Vaishyas had to act like Vaishyas. So from that angle, you can understand it. In this age, you know, it's a slightly different because everyone is on the highest level being a fantastic Sudra. so we're seeking whoever knows Krishna to be our guru. You can reconcile it from that angle. Is that okay?
So it's okay. It's understood.
Yeah. So we'll go to text 17. Okay. Sri Sukha Uvacha Saevam Bhagavan Prishta Shatra Kaushara Muni Vongsang Nishreya Sarthena Tam Aha Bahu Manayan Sukadev Goswami, as usual, narrating it to Parikshit Maharaj. Sukadev Goswami said, the great sage Maitreya Muni, after honoring Vidura very greatly, began to speak at Vidura's request for the greatest welfare of all persons. So also there is a little bit of etiquette in relationship to age also. Even though Uddhava was very qualified, he thought that he would be transgressing Maryada Vyatikrama. He'd be transgressing the rule of proper etiquette, honoring an elderly person if he went on and spoke Krishna Katha to Vidura. So Vidura is going to a higher person in terms of Varna, and also going to a higher person in terms of knowledge, and also going to a higher person in terms of age. Those things had a particular value in the Dwapar Yuga more than it has here. Of course, those things are universal principles. Universal principles are there. Because Vedic principles, sometimes some of the things we can adapt, some of things are transcendental, but still in terms of cultural behavior, those things are important. So Vidura is being congratulated by Maitreya Rishi. And at Vidura's request now, he will speak for the welfare of all people. So in the purport, I will read, the great sage Maitreya Muni is described here as Bhagavan because he surpassed all ordinary human beings in learning and experience. So he's endowed with potency for sharing the qualities of the Supreme Lord by the process of speaking, katha. Krishna Katha, Kirtanam, glorifying. So thus his selection of the greatest welfare service for the world is considered authoritative. So Maitreya Rishi's explanation is very authoritative. The all-inclusive welfare service for the entire human society is devotional service to the Lord. Right? The greatest welfare is devotional service to the Lord. And as requested by Vidura, the sage, described the same very appropriately. So Maitreya Rishi. So Maitreya Vacha, text 18, Maitreya starts to speak. Sadhu prishtam tvaya saddho lokan sadhvanugrinat kirting vitanvata loke atmano dhoksha jatmanah. Sri Maitreya said, O Vidura, all glory unto you. You have inquired from me of the greatest of all goodness, and thus you have shown your mercy both to the world and to me, because your mind is always absorbed in thoughts of transcendence. So he's saying, all, O Vidura, all glory unto you. So because he's inquiring about the glory of the greatest of all goodness, and thus you have shown mercy both to the world and to me. So Maitreya is also feeling honored because now I can get opportunity to hear. So when it comes to the realm of discussion of Krishna Katha, the first beneficiary is actually the hearers. The second is a speaker, and the third is those who ask questions. Or is it the hearer and those who ask questions, and the speaker is the third? Something like that in Srimad Bhagavatam. I have to get the exact reference for it. So Maitreya Muni, who was experienced in the science of transcendence, could understand that Vidura's mind was fully absorbed in transcendence. Adokshaja means that which transcends the limits of sense perception. So the Lord, Krishna is Adokshaja, because he can only be understood by our transcendental senses. So the Lord is transcendental to our sense experience, and he reveals himself to the sincere devotee. So by pratyaksha, sense perception, very hard to understand the Supreme Lord, but he's understood by revelation. He reveals himself to us. So because Vidura was always absorbed in thought of the Lord, Maitreya could estimate Vidura's transcendental value. He appreciated the valuable inquiries of Vidura, and therefore he thanked him with great honor. He thanked him and said, this is nice. So just like I like to thank you all for hearing, so I can share. So text 19. Naitat chittam tvai shattar bhadar bhadarayana viryaje krito nanya bhavena yatvaya haririshwaraha. O Vidura, it is not at all wonderful that you have so accepted the Lord without deviation of thought. So he's saying, isn't that wonderful that you have been absorbed in the Supreme Lord without deviation? For you were born from the semen of Vyasadeva. Vidura was born from the body of Vyasadeva. So the value of great parentage and noble birth is evaluated here in connection with the birth of Vidura. So the culture of human being begins when the father invests his semen in the womb of the mother. According to his status of work, a living entity is placed in a particular father's semen. And because Vidura was not an ordinary living entity, he was given the chance to be born from Vyasa. The birth of a human being is a great science, and therefore reformation of the act of impregnation, which is called Garbhadhan Sanskar, is very important for generation of a good population. The problem is not to check the growth of the population, but to generate good population on the level of Vidura, Vyasa, and Maitreya. If you get a few hundred Vyasas and Maitreyas and Viduras in the world, problems will be solved. So there's no need to check the growth of population. If the children are born as human beings, with all precautions regarding their birth. So Vidura was of very noble birth. even though he was considered Dasiputra. So he had great education, and he was involved in the house of Dhritarashtra's and prime minister. And he gave very good balanced spiritual counsel whenever it was required. So much so that the envious Duryodhana did not like it, because he could not appreciate good advice, inasmuch as serving milk to a snake will only come to bite you.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Yes, Rasavan Prabhu.
Yes, please will you please clear this my doubt? From the very beginning, Maitreya was considered as not a pure devotee. But now, at this level where we are now, where he's delivering pure transcendental Krishna Katha to not a less caliber of a person, but to somebody like Vidura, who is totally accepted as a pure devotee. Could we now claim that Maitreya now is a pure devotee?
I didn't hear half of the question. I think there's a problem. I'm not sure where, but my thing is working. I'm on maximum here.
Yeah. What Prabhu was saying is that in the beginning, Vidura was portrayed as someone from a lower birth.
No, not Vidura,
And now he's being...
Maitreya, not Vidura.
Sorry, Maitreya. He was presented as a lower personality, but now...
No, Maitreya was portrayed as someone approaching from Jnana platform. Just like the four Kumaras are considered the most knowledgeable, they're incarnations of Jnana. So, but even though they're the most senior, the four Kumaras, Narad Muni is considered superior to them. Why? Because Narad Muni is a pure devotee. He approaches directly from the platform of pure devotional service. And the four Kumaras approaches from the platform of Jnana. But they still come to the Supreme Lord. So Uddhava approached the Supreme Lord from a perspective of rasa and pure transcendental devotional service. Maitreya approached the Supreme Lord for the process of jnana. So it is lesser, not lower in birth. When Lord Krishna honored Maitreya, he honored him properly when he was assisting the discussion between Uddhava and Krishna. But we studied that he had shown more affection to Uddhava because Uddhava was a Rasik devotee. He was involved in a very intimate relationship with the Supreme Lord. But Maitreya had no such rasa with the Supreme Lord because he came from the process of jnana, not pure devotional service, but more like Mishra Bhakti, Jnana Mishra Bhakti. Do you follow?
Yes, we follow. But now my question is, with the delivery that Maitreya is giving to Vidura now, is Maitreya still to be considered as on the same path level, or he has now upgraded to a pure devotee?
He is pure devotee in a sense, like he may have approached from one angle, but by hearing from Krishna in Prabhasha and also being a long-term associate of Parasara Muni and also having been educated in knowledge and renunciation, and now more having had the association of Krishna, now he is qualified to instruct Vidura because Krishna actually arranged that. So we may approach from an angle, but we can become graduated to higher level.
Actually, that is the point I want to clearly understand. That some of us, though we are practicing a devotional service, we may get attracted by one way and the other by something material. But we are still within the course. Sometimes these material desires will all flash away, and then we remain in Krishna
Yes,
consciousness.
I can give you another example. I can understand your question. Give you another example of Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj has approached the Supreme Lord to actually pick up revenge on his father and even have a better planet than his father, better than his grandfather, Swayambhuva Manu, and even better than his great-grandfather. So that's a very nice mood to approach the Supreme Lord. I want to get something. I'll prove to them that I can have better than all of them. They did not allow me to sit on the lap of my father. Who do you think they are? I'm born of a Kshatriya stock. So that's what his mood was. He could not accept defeat and challenge to his Kshatriya spirit. So in great earnest, he wanted to approach the Lord because that's the advice he was given. If you want this kind of blessings, can only be given by approaching the Lord. So go ahead. Approach the Lord, his mother said. But that was his mood. His mood was, he was very much an Artharthi Bhakta. He wanted to get material benefits, immeasurable material benefit, a planet higher than Lord Brahma. So he approached, but then Dhruva Maharaj is known as a Mahabhagavat. He became a Mahabhagavat. He became a pure devotee of the Lord. Do you follow?
Yes.
Does that answer your question? So you can approach the Lord because you're completely miserable. Artha, like you're completely miserable and you approach the Supreme Lord, or remove my miseries. Or you can approach him Artharthi for material benefits, or Jigyasa, inquisitive for knowledge and knowing the Supreme Lord, maybe the Gyanis. Or you can be a full Jnana person in purified knowledge of the absolute, but no indication of appreciation of the qualities of the Supreme Lord. 4 characters, right? But you can become completely purified because you're approaching Lord Krishna, and then you can attain pure devotional service, moving slowly, gradually from the platform of Karma Mishra, Jnana Mishra, Yoga Mishra, Bhakti. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, Madhuvan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Is it after Maya approached Krishna? Krishna is saying his param sitim. Is that what makes him perfect? Perfect.
Yes,
devotee?
remember we discussed the Paramam Sthitim means his highest position in terms of rasa, which Uddhava had appreciated. Right? And now Vidura also wants to appreciate that. Whereas manifestation of the Lord in Paramam Sthitim means in his pastimes, not just in Tattva, in philosophical appreciation of the Lord as being great, grand, supreme, powerful, no, but his intimate rasas, to appreciate him through his intimate rasas. That's his Paramam Sthitim, the highest position of understanding of the Lord. Yes? Okay. It's nice to tie up this point with the previous understanding. Very good, Prabhuji. So now we read text 20. Mandavya Bhagavan Praja Samyamano Yama Bhratu Shetre Vujisyaya Jata Satyavati Sutat. I know that you are now Vidura due to the cursing of Mandavya Muni, and that formerly you were King Yamaraj, the great controller of living entities. After their death, you were begotten by the sons of Satyavati, which means Vyasadeva, in the kept wife of his brother. Kept wife means a Sudrani or a Dasi, a servant. So Mandavya Muni, so Vidura was cursed by Mandavya Muni while he was in the service, in the position of Maharaj Yamaraj. And he was a great controller of living entities after their death. He's the one who sorts out your next destination, whatever. Okay, so that was Yamaraj. That was previous life of Vidura. And he had committed a mistake, and Mandavya Muni had cursed him. And therefore, he was now begotten by Vyasadeva in the wife of his brother. Okay? So let's read this. Or anyone can read because...
Sorry, Prabhu, for your toothache.
Still there, till Monday. I'm going to have it extracted on Monday. Yesterday, I couldn't give class. Yeah, go on. Read text 20.
The purport. Mandavya Muni was a great sage. Bhagavata 1:13:1.
It ceased. Jyoti Swarup Prabhu, read while he comes back.
Yes, Prabhuji. Purport. Mandavya Muni was a great sage. Bhagavad 1.13.1. And Vidura was formerly a controller Yamraj, who takes charge of a living entities after death, birth, maintenance. And death are three conditional stage of the living entities who are within the material world. As the appointed controller after death, Yamraj once tried Mandavya Muni for his childhood proficiency and ordered him to be pierced with a lance. Mandavya, being angry at Yamraj for awarding him undue punishment, caused him to become Shudra, member of less intelligence, laborer class. Thus, Yamraj took birth in the womb of the kept wife of Vichitra Virya, from the semen of Vichitra Virya's brother. Vyasdev is son of Satyavati by the great sage Parashar, and Vichitra Virya is the son of the same Satyavati by the great king Santanu, the father of Bhishmadev. This mysterious history of Vidura was known to Maitreya Muni because he happened to be a contemporary friend of Vyasdev's. In spite of Vidura's birth from the womb of a kept wife, because he had otherwise high percentage and a great connection, he inherited a highest talent of becoming a great devotee of the Lord. To take birth in such great family is understood to be an advantage for attaining devotional life. Vidura was given this chance due to his previous greatness. Hare Krishna.
So Vyasadeva was brother Vichitra Virya, both the sons of Satyavati and Parasara. And therefore you can actually go through the history a little bit here of Mahabharata. And therefore he had committed a mistake in judging Mandavya Muni, and Mandavya Muni was not happy with him and had cursed him. You'll be born as a Sudra. But even because he was a very high caliber, pure devotee of the Lord Yamaraj, he was born of a Sudra, because that was a desire of Mandavya Muni, but still had high parentage. His father was Vyasadeva. So text 20. Bhagavan Bhagavato Nityam Samata Sunugastya Yasya Jnana Pradeshaya Madisad Bhagavan Yag Prajan. Your good self is one of the eternal associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for whose sake the Lord, while going back to his abode, left instructions with me. So he's saying your good self in one of the eternal associates of the Supreme Lord. Who is that? Vidura. And while going back to his abode, he left instructions with me. So the Lord had arranged for Maitreya to speak to Vidura. He had left instructions with him. So of course, the Lord has empowered me properly. So he could speak to a great personality who was an associate of the Lord, such as Vidura, who was previously in the body of Yamaraj. So Yamaraj, the great controller of life of the deaf, decides the living entity's destinies. He is surely among the most confidential reps of the Supreme Lord. Such confidential posts offered to great devotees of the Lord, who are as good as his eternal associates in the spiritual sky. And because Vidura happened to be among them, the Lord, while returning to Vaikuntha, left instructions for Vidura, while with Maitreya Muni. Generally, the internal associates of the Lord in the spiritual sky do not come down to the material world. Sometimes they come, however, by the order of the Lord, not to hold any administrative post, but to associate with the Lord. So pure devotees of the Lord, associates of the Lord, when they come, very rarely they will be given a high post, but they come as an associate of the Lord and help propagate the message of the Lord in human society. And these kind of representatives are called Shakti Avesh Avatar. They're invested with a high potency, equal to potency of the Lord, but specific, not every potency, but some specific potency. And sometimes they have this transcendental power of attorney. Prabhupada uses this word power of attorney. So just like you can give someone to have power of attorney to do a certain kind of transaction on your behalf, not wide-ranging powers on everything. You may give him some power, say, for example, to make a conveyance if you're selling your property. So he's given that power. Okay, you can do the conveyance of my property when I'm selling it on my behalf. So you give the power of attorney. So Krishna gave the power of attorney to Vyasadeva. Okay, you can write all the books. Right? So that's one kind of power of attorney or avesha. So he invested him with this kind of power.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Okay, Selector, go on.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Prabhu. When you finish, I'll come.
Yeah, Prabhuji, this, I want us to elucidate it a little in the issue between the Yamaraj and then Mandavya Muni. Normally, we understood that very sinful people go to Yamaraj. But sometimes we see some exalted people also going to Yamaraj, like the case of Mandavya Muni, who committed some mistakes in his childhood days, but now he's a great Muni. Why is it that he ended up in Yamaraj to be assigned judgments on what he did as an in his infancy, to which extent that he didn't understand, and then also cursed Yamaraj to come to this our world as a Vidura.
Yes, sometimes mistakes can happen. Yamaraj is a very powerful personality, but he makes a couple of mistakes, or sometimes his messengers makes mistakes. But if a person may be a yogi, he may be a jnani, he may be a very powerful person, but when he leaves his body, he has to be given another birth. That department of life of the deaf and rearranging a new life of the deaf, whether sinful or not completely sinful, whether you have to be heavily punished or not punished, just you go through a transitionary period to another life, that department is under the control of Yamaraj. So say that is the department of Yamaraj. say, for example, a devotee in his initial stages of life becomes a devotee of Krishna, and then he leaves his body and he has to be born again and to be given a chance for devotional service. He doesn't have to go to hell to be punished. He doesn't have to see the Yamadutas in a gross way dragging him with the ropes in their hand because he's being a good boy. But he will still go through the agency of Yamaraj, who will arrange for his next birth. He may get a nicer treatment, he may get a VIP treatment, but he will still have to go to the airport, change from this aeroplane, from this planet to another planet, or from this life to another life. He will still have to catch a plane. And that airport agency is Yamaraj.
Thank you very much.
Right? So he may be treated very nicely. Maybe Yamaraj will offer you nice juice, make you sit in an air-conditioned place. And he said, wow, nice. I heard you did great things. So you're getting another chance. So we are looking at everything and we will see what is the best for you. It will be arranged by the mercy of the Lord. But I have this service, so I have to do that. So just wait in the VIP room and let's sort it out for you, okay?
Very nice explanation, Prabhu. Please, can I ask a question in this regard?
Yeah.
We see that devotees sometimes, especially in our own time, we've seen so many devotees leave the movement. In the middle of their life, at some point in time, they just stray away and they start going to church, they go to mosque, they go to some other traditions, most often time for material ones, because they feel their material needs are not taken care of in Krishna consciousness. But then somehow or the other, they cannot completely separate themselves from Krishna consciousness. But in the course of this middle life, they are externally connected with Krishna consciousness, a little bit interactions, but they're not fully engaged in Krishna consciousness any longer. They're practicing some other material religious activities. So such a person, did they fall in the category of these VIP kind of a persons you're talking about?
One who's chanted Hare Krishna, he will not see the agents of death. But I have to still get information to be able to answer the question fully. But who takes care of them? Who takes care of their moving from one life to another? I think it's still Yamaraj. I don't think Krishna is going to come and try to pull you out and take you somewhere else. So he was given, say, for example, of course, Jamil was given a second chance. He was not exactly pulled out. He was trying to be pulled out of the body by the agents carrying pasha, which means ropes to bind the living entity who was sinful. But that wasn't actually, that didn't happen to him. So I would presume that each of these departments are managed by these great personalities and they're pure devotees of the Lord. So I was wondering that if you are practicing Krishna consciousness, but your Krishna consciousness is not complete, and you have to be given another life, right? Who is the person who's going to be in charge to give you that transition? Because it has to go through death. And who is the Lord of death? Yamaraj. So it only makes sense. He doesn't necessarily have just one department where, he maybe have, some very gross, I'm speculating, but that's my understanding. So I will have to get some more information from my teachers.
Thank you very much, Lord.
Okay, so where we at?
Krishna.
Yes, Tamal. Krishna Babu.
Yes. And me, Mark is a devotee a lot. At times, we read of some of devotees prayed on Maharaj. But this his Maharaj is a devotee of the who lets our past to the right path.
I can't understand. It's breaking.
Oh,
Sarika, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, he said sometimes, if I add him correctly, the line is breaking, but what I understood from what he's saying is that devotees, sometimes we are afraid of Yamaraj, we are afraid of death. But here we are seeing that Yamaraj is a pure devotee who actually is in charge of taking care of the devotees, even when they are exiting.
Don't be afraid. You will not see the agents of death. I don't know who you will see, but you will not see the agent of death because you're chanting Hare Krishna. No one who chants Hare Krishna sees the agents of death even in his dream. That is a guarantee of the Supreme Lord in the 6th canto. You will not see the agent of death because we're chanting the holy name of Krishna. That's unheard of. That bit I know.
Yeah, I think I also...
Who and in what attire will arrange for our transfer if you have to take birth again as a devotee to carry on our devotional life? It has to be Yamaraj, maybe some of his, nicer VIP dressed agents. I don't know. But it's a good discussion.
Yeah, I think I want to agree with you because I had a near-death
Don't agree
experience.
with me. I'm speculating. It's not Shastric.
No, yeah, but I'm also speculating based on my personal experience because some few years back, I had a death experience for some couple of minutes, less than an hour. I don't know whether it's more than that, but for about, I think they said 36 minutes or so, I was completely satisfied dead. I was to be taken to the mortuary. And somehow or the other, something happens, a long story. I don't want to go into that details. But the point I'm trying to say is that when I came back to life, when I tried to recollect what transpired that moment, because when it was pronounced to me that I was actually certified dead, so I was trying to quickly recollect based on my practice of Krishna consciousness what happened within those periods. But I didn't see anything unusual. I just felt like I was in a normal environment, devotional environment where I was before I was taken away. I didn't see anything strange. So that's what I'm saying, that it's most likely, I don't know for sure, but from that particular experience, I can say that if that is what death is all about, I don't think a devotee will go through the experience of pulling away by Yamaraj, because I had that experience and I never saw that. Even as sinful as I am, I never saw that kind of experience. And if I was satisfied dead for some time and came back to life, I think based on my sinful life, I should have seen so many horrible experiences.
So based on that, of what you were treated, we have hopes for us. Good.
Exactly.
Okay, let's just carry on. Thank you. Okay, so text 22. Okay, so athate bhagaval leela yogamayo rubrimhita vishwasthiti udbhavantartha varnayami anupurvasaha. I shall therefore describe to you the pastimes by which the personality of Godhead extends his transcendental potency for the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic world as they occur one after the other. We start from the beginning, right? Talking about, because this is also the pastimes of the Lord in the material energy. The creation, maintenance, and dissolution is the pastimes of the Lord in the material energy. So the omnipotent Lord, by his different energies, can perform anything and everything he likes. The creation of the cosmic world is done by his Yogamaya energy. But the Yogamaya energy transforms into material energy. But it is still his energy. So from the Lord's angle, it is still his energy. So it can be Yogamaya or it can be Mahamaya. What difference does it make for him? Both belongs to him, right? Like the Lord can have One, like someone very rich can have a very nice Ferrari, or he can have a Toyota. Both his, one is better than the other, but they both belong to him. So from that angle, we can understand. Right? So Bhagavan eka es asedham agra atmanatmana vibhu atme channu gathavatma nanamatti upalakshana. The personality of God as the master of all living entities existed prior to the creation as one without a second. So here, the Lord is one without a second. What does that mean? The Lord is one without a second. Means that the Lord existed prior to creation. Okay? And this is even explained in there. You will see that it is by his will only that creation is made possible. And again, everything merges into him. This supreme self is symptomized by different names. So in the purport, the great sage here begins to explain the purpose of the four original verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Maitreya have now approached the explanation of the four nutshell verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is called the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. 32, 33, 34, or 33, 34, 35, 36, which is chapter 2, chapter 9, second canto. And let's see what Prabhupada explains here. Although they have no access to Srimad Bhagavatam, the followers of the Mayavad school sometimes screw out an imaginary explanation of the original four verses. But we must accept the actual explanation given here by Maitreya Muni, because he, along with Vaibhava, this is it. Rasavan, you pay attention, Prabhuji? But we must accept the actual explanation given herein by Maitreya Muni, because he, along with Uddhava, personally heard it directly from the Lord. Now you see, right? These little things are there. This is studying it deeper. It is there. Now it answers your query and your doubt must have been gone. Right? Smritir labdha mohanasha. Just like Krishna says, my doubts are gone, I have regained my memory. So you must be in the position of Arjuna right now. Your doubts are gone and you regain your memory. Okay. So, but we must accept the actual explanation given here by Maitreya Muni, because he, along with Uddhava, personally heard it directly from Lord Krishna. The first line of the original four verses run, Aham mevasa mevagre nanyat yat sadasat param, right? Paschadaham tadetacha yo vishayeta susmiham. That was the first verse of So evasa mevagre means that one without a second, I existed prior to all creation, and when all destruction is done, I will be there. That's the meaning of Aham evasa mevagre. The text or the first verse of the Chatushloki. Okay? So this is the meaning of it. The first line of the original four verses runs Aham evasam evagre. The word Aham is missing. Of course, Prabhupada is going towards defeating the Mayavadi school. And he says that, but here Aham is explained as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay? And therefore the creation, the Supreme Lord was there. There were no Purusha incarnations, and certainly no living entities before the creation. Only the Lord was there by himself. Aham me vasa me vagre. So he is one without a second. That's what explains this text 23. The Lord existed alone prior to creation. No Purusha avatar, no demigods existed. That's what it means. Okay? So the word, okay. So the Purusha incarnations and all the different energies of the Supreme Lord were merged in him only. So they were all in him. Right? And then they expanded from him. That's what is the meaning of Aham Evasam Evag. So the personality of Godhead is there everything. Is this clear? Is this clear for all of our friends here?
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
So the Purusha incarnations. So the next paragraph. The personality of Godhead is described herein as a master of all other living entities. Where is that verse from Kena Upanishad, Katha Upanishad? Remember? Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam eko bhuvinam. Yeah. You can read that verse in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 13, Dehinosmin yatha dehe. And in the purport, after the first paragraph, Prabhupada writes about the personality of Godhead is a master of all living entities. This is from Kena Upanishad or Katha Upanishad, both. So he's like the sun disk. The living entities are like the molecules of the sun rays. So all the sun rays come from the sun disk. So all the living entities emanates from the Supreme Lord. So we are an expansion of the Supreme Lord. In as much as all the other incarnations are also expansions of the Supreme Lord of different categories, we are also an expansion of the Lord. We are also Shakti Man. We are also Shakti, not Shaktiman. He is a Shaktiman. The sun is a Shaktiman in the relative sense. All the energies come from the sun. Right? So similarly, all the different jivas and all the different demigods and all the different incarnations, they all come from the Supreme Lord as much as we come from him. So we're also an expansion of the Lord, minute expansion of the Lord. So this existence of the Lord before the creation is confirmed by the Shrutis. Vasudeva vaidam agra asidna brahmana cha shankara eko vai narayano asinna brahmana sas nishasnaha. So I think this is also quoted in Chatushloki Gita 10:8. Aham sarvasya prabhavo atak sarvam pavartate iti matva bhajante mam bhuta bhava samanvita. So let's check this. Prabhupada also talks about this in this purport. I think the same verse, if I may remember. Slightly different. Yes, but if you read, it explains about Narayan, it explains about Brahma, the Prajapatis, and the Rudras, all coming from him in there. But similar, not exact, but similar. Okay, so it says Vasudeva Vaidang Agra Asitna Brahma na Shankara. So before there was no
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'm not hearing you. Is everyone hearing Prabhu?
Yes.
Yes, I'm hearing.
Yes.
Yes.
I can't even hear anyone.
Can you hear?
What happened?
Hare Krishna. Because everything that be is an emanation from the personality of Godhead. He always exists alone without a second. He can so exist because he's all perfect and omnipotent. Everything other than him, including his plenary expansions, the Vishnu Tattvas, is his part and parcel. Before the creation, there were no Karanodakshai, no Garbhodakshai, no Shirodakshai Vishnu. Or no Brahma, no Shankara. And that's what he's saying. Vasudeva Saidam Agra Asit na Brahma, na Shankara, na Narayana, etc. Because from Narayana, from Sankarshan, you get Narayana. From Narayana, you get the plenary expansions called the Purusha Avatar. So before, there was no Purusha Avatar. So he alone existed, the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Okay, so we read text 24. You can hear me now, Shalika Prabhu?
Yes, yes, I've corrected that.
Savaye satata drashta napasya drishyamekarat mene santam ivatman supta shakti rashuptadrik. The Lord, the undisputed proprietor of everything, was the only seer. The cosmic manifestation was not present at that time. The Lord, the undisputed proprietor of everything, was the only seer. He was only supervisor. And he's the only one who could see everything. The cosmic manifestation was not present at that time. And thus he felt imperfect without his plenary and separate parts and parcels. The material energy was dormant, whereas the internal potency was manifest. Let me analyze that verse a little bit. Just give me a minute.
I think Prabhu's line is breaking.
Sava esha tada drashta. Ekarat, undisputed proprietor. So anyway, Prabhupada saying that he felt imperfect without his plenary and separate. Maybe he felt I don't know, incomplete, or I don't know, imperfect. Lord is always perfect. So I don't know how to reconcile this. So thus he felt imperfect without his plenary and separated parts and parcels. The material energy was dormant, whereas the internal potency was manifest. So here Maitreya Rishi is laying the foundation for explaining how everything comes into being. And we are reading text 24. So he is laying the groundwork for explaining the process of creation. Right? As the Lord being the seer, and so on in text 24. So in this text here, in this text 24, very full of meaning. The Lord, he wants to create the cosmic manifestation and awaken all the forgetful, sleeping, conditioned souls to spiritual consciousness and gives them another chance to go back home, back to Godhead. And that's what it's being described here. Okay, he is a seer. He wants a cosmic manifestation to be present that was not present at that time. And therefore, he is without his plenary expansions, without the Purusha avatars, and all the separate parts and parcels, the jivas, are in Shushupti, they are in deep sleep, right? Within Pradhana, within the unmanifest material energy, holding all the jivas, obviously in the spiritual sky, part of the spiritual sky, which is a Pradhana. Or within the body of the Lord, the material energy is there, but the body of the Lord, actually the jivas are in there, but he hasn't interjected them into the material creation. That's what it is saying here. So the material energy was dormant, whereas the internal potency was manifest. And he was without his plenary and separated parts and parcels. What are his plenary parts? The expansions of Narayan. Shirodakshai, Karanodakshai, and other incarnations that will come in the creation. And what are his separated parts and parcels? Come on, what are his separated?
The living entities.
The jivas.
The jivas. Right.
Yeah, with the living entities.
The living entities. He cares about them as much as he cares about these other incarnations. So before the creation, the external energy, Maya Shakti, was dormant, while the internal energy was manifest. The Lord, Ekaratra, his Drishta, Prabhupada says he felt imperfect without the external energy, like a lonely husband in the absence of his wife. So the Lord wanted to experience rasa, both in his internal potency and even in his material energy. He was to experience what you call variegatedness. So that is also his pastime. I hope you understand this. So if you read the purport, you will get an idea.
Yes, but at one point,
yes, go ahead, Prabhu.
Okay,
yes,
let me read
we
the
understand.
purport because I can't hear Rasavan. He sees. The Lord is a present. We will come back. Are you there? Okay, let me read. The Lord is a supreme seer because only by his glance did the material energy become active for cosmic manifestation. At that time, the seer was there, but the external energy over which the glance of the Lord is cast was not present. He felt somewhat insufficient, like a husband feeling lonely in the absence of his wife. That is a poetic simile. The Lord wanted to create the cosmic manifestation to give another chance to the conditioned souls who are dormant in forgetfulness. The cosmic manifestation gives the conditioned souls a chance to go back home, back to Godhead. And that is a main purpose, therefore, of the cosmic creation. The Lord is so kind that in the absence of such a manifestation, he feels something wanting. And thus the creation takes place. Why does he feel something wanting? Deep
Hare
question.
Krishna, Prabhu. Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Manu.
Yeah. Because I think he has feelings for the conditioned souls, and they have been in a very dormant condition state. So the feelings he has for them, then he has to create a manifestation or the manifestation benefits so that they can have the opportunity to regain their consciousness and then go back home, back to God.
So out of compassion, he may have something wanting. Why don't we wake Chitraputra Prabhu from his Shushupti deep sleep of Lord Mahavishnu and ask him the question? Yes? Come on, wake up, Jiva soul. Why is he wanting? Why is the Lord in want of something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Isn't the Lord Purna? Isn't the Lord Purna? Is not Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate is complete?
Mm.
Yes, that is complete.
I want to hear from Chitraputra. I want to wake him up. I got water.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, sorry for that. I was just a little dozing off, you know. Krishna, as we are saying, the Lord has affection for all the souls, and because He's perfect and complete, it is said that some aspect when we take as we say that we are part and parcel of him. We can never be separated from him. So the Lord has affection and mercy, also compassion for the souls who have been trapped in the material energy. So even though the internal energy is manifested, still the Lord is not satisfied, because some of his children are also trapped in a dormant state. So they also have to come so that they be given a chance to also be liberated or to have the chance to enjoy. Because in the dormant state, one cannot feel, you can't do anything. You can't feel, you can't enjoy. It is very dull. It's like being in a sleep mode. So that is my little idea. Thank you.
So can I conclude that the Lord is not Atmarama?
No, not that. He's Atmaram, but you know, to see the suffering of another or somebody who is the Lord is a well-wisher to everybody. He's a well-wisher and he wishes everybody happiness. So even though in his aspect, after Krishna came, when we take Kali Yoga, for instance, the Lord came to perform his pastimes and left. But still, he still have men in Kali Yoga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to still deliver it. That is the unlimited compassion, or let's say the mercy for us. So that is what I think. It's not that he's not satisfied, he's not this, but he still has some compassion and some mercy for us.
All right. So can we say therefore that the Lord is suffering because we are suffering?
No, he's not suffering, but he feels our dormant state. He's not suffering.
Okay. You satisfied me 90%, but 10% still not there.
Okay.
Because your sleep was too deep. That's why. I tell you. Okay. The Lord is perfect in Tattva. He's always complete in his position as a Supreme Lord. Complete in Tattva. He's always complete. He's Atmarama. He's perfectly happy in every way possible. But he's incomplete in Rasa. That's what means he's wanting. He's complete in Rasa means that because we are all part and parcel of him, like you rightly said, 90% of the question was answered very nicely. But because he wants to experience not your sleep and my sleep, he wants to experience our love. So he wants to experience our love. And as long as jivas, all jivas, which are part and parcel of him, or not within his ambit of love, he will feel like, oh, how is Chitraputra going to give me his love? And how is Shalika going to love me? And how is Madhuvan going to love me? So he's wanting in that.
Okay. Thank you.
So
yeah.
So it is your duty to love him.
So then, if the Lord is one thing, if the Lord is one thing as you analyze, if the Lord is one thing, then in the form of your question, then could we say then it's not Atmarama? Because if he is
Atmarama, he is Atmarama, but he's still one.
But the fact
this is
that
Achintya Beda Tattva. This is Achintya Beda. You cannot understand it. He is one thing, and it's inconceivable because Prabhupada does say he's one thing. But he's still complete. And only because he wants to facilitate us in our relationship with him. So wait, you can reconcile it. This is Lord Chaitanya's philosophy of Achintya Beda Tattva. The Lord is complete, yet he is one thing in rasa. What's wrong with that? It's inconceivable, but that's the whole point of Lord Chaitanya's Achintya Beda Tattva. But to give it a more meaning, he's only one thing in rasa, not in tattva. In terms of relationship, he wants to experience all our love. So he's saying he's complete. And he is more complete, just like the Lord is complete and in Purna in Dwarka. Isn't the Lord complete in Dwarka? Here, Purna. And he is Purnatara, more complete in Mathura. And he's most complete in Vrindavan. So it's Purna, Purnatara, Purnatama. Do you follow? So he's complete in Dwarka. He's more complete in Mathura, and he's most complete in Vrindavan. Because there he's experiencing all the different rasas, but still is complete. Anyway. And he's always Atmaram. But he's giving opportunities for all of us to love him. And up to that point, he will stay. He will still be waiting to experience our love. Because the way I'm going to love him and you and him and everyone else is different. It's very individual. Okay, so let's move on. So let's read this. Let's read this part. The Lord is so kind that in the absence of such a manifestation, he feels something wanting, and the creation takes place. Although the creation of the internal potency was manifest, the other potency appeared to be sleeping. The Lord wanted to awaken her to activity, just as a husband wants to awaken his wife from the sleeping state for enjoyment. Right? To want to feel the enjoyment of all the separated living beings in relationship to him. It is because we also Prakriti. So it is a compassion of the Lord for the sleeping energy, that he wants to see her awaken for enjoyment, like the other wives who are awake. The whole process is to enliven the sleeping conditioned soul to the real life of spiritual consciousness, so that they may thus become as perfect as the ever liberated souls in the Vaikunthas. Since the Lord is Sachidananda Vigraha, he likes every part and parcel of his different potencies to take part in the blissful rasa. That's it. Here. So he's wanting in rasa. He wants everyone in rasa. So of his different potencies to take part in the blissful rasa, because participation with the Lord in his eternal rasa lila is the highest living condition, perfect in spiritual bliss and internal knowledge. So instead of sleeping, we should aspire to give him joy in rasa.
Please, Prabhu.
Yes.
Please, Prabhu. Yeah, in that wise, from what we is so far
Your line is breaking,
here.
Prabhu.
Okay. So
try again.
Are you hearing me now?
Yeah, okay.
Are you hearing me now?
Yeah, stay fixed and speak.
So I'm asking in that wise, from what has been explained so far, can we said that this is the very, very beginning of all things, that from the very beginning, before even the emanations of the Purusha avatar, some living entities are put into a state of forgetfulness, that we have been given a chance to enter into the wrath of the Lord.
Yeah, you're asking that question, I know.
The network is breaking. Yeah, his network is not strong.
Yeah, yeah. You're asking
actually,
that
where
question
I am,
of
I've been disturbed by network
that
problem.
That question of
maybe you can type
memorial.
Maybe you can type it in the chat room.
No, I got the question. I understand the question. You're asking the question of from time immemorial. Yes, it looks like from time immemorial we've been in Maya. It looks like. In the 11th canto also this explains. Anadir avidya yuktasya. We are in ignorance and sleeping from time immemorial. So let's move on. So okay, so we read text 25. Tavaetasya sandrushta shakti sadasatatmika maya nama mahabhaga yayedang nirmanam vibhu. The Lord is a seer and the external energy, which is seen. The Lord is a seer, he sees, and the external energy is a seeing. Okay, we see the external energy. The Lord sees the external energy. He is the one who can see. Works as both cause and effect in the cosmic manifestation. Okay, so he says it works both as cause and effect in the cosmic manifestation. We'll understand that. Oh, greatly fortunate Vidura, this external energy is known as Maya, illusion, and through her agency only is entire material manifestation made possible. So in here it says that the material, okay, let's read the purport. The material nature known as Maya is both the material and efficient cause of the cosmos. But in the background, the Lord is a consciousness of all activities. As in the individual body, the consciousness is a source of all energies of the Lord. So the supreme consciousness of the Lord is a source of all energies in material nature. This is explained as follows. Maya Dyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam Hetunanena Konteya Jagati Parivartati. Although all the energies of the material nature, they are in the hand of the Supreme Lord as the final superintendent. Due to this supreme cause only, the activities of the material nature appear planned and systematic, that all things regularly evolve. Do you understand this? That the Lord here is the Maya, the material energy, is both the material and efficient cause of the cosmos. It's called Sadasat-atmika. The Sadasat-atmika as both the cause and effect. Do you anyone understand this?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, please explain. What you know, these are important things. We should try to understand it. Yeah, go on, Prabhuji.
Yeah, I was just trying to answer a question that I don't understand.
Oh, okay. All right, let's see.
Yeah, I can relate to the verse and the quotation Prabhupada make, the Bhagavad Gita 9:10, that the Lord, theoretically, yes, I can understand that, yes. Through all of his energy, material nature, the Lord makes manifest everything. If we look at that verse itself, Maya Dyakshina Prakriti, and he says that throughout all the energies of material nature, there's the hand of the Supreme Lord in the final superintendent. Due to this supreme cause only, the activities of material nature appear planned and systematic, and Lord is regularly evolved. Now the point is here. The point now is it appears. It appears. So that point is what I want to get clarification.
Okay, here I have it here for you. Okay, causes are divided into two categories called nimitta and upadan. For example, you need earth or clay as a material cause to make a pot, right? Do we need clay to make a pot?
Yes.
So the earth is the upadan, primary cause for the pot. Do you follow?
Yeah.
But how does it become a pot? Does it become a pot by itself?
No.
It has to be shaped by a potter? Yes?
Okay, the potter is the nimitta.
Yeah. So you can say the cause, there's two types of cause, a nimitta and upadhan. So the earth is, so the material nature, the Prakriti itself is a first cause, but then the Prakriti acts to make the shape of the cosmic manifestation.
Understood.
So it is also the effect, so the secondary cause or the effect. So there's two types of cause. There's a nimitta and the upadhan. The upadhan is the first and the nimitta is what causes it. So it's a little bit like this. So here you can understand this by this understanding. So if you now read it, you will understand. So the material nature known as Maya is both the material and efficient cause. So what causes the shape to take place? It's Maya itself. But what's the primary cause of the creation? The cosmic manifestation. But the cosmic manifestation acts to make the cosmic manifestation visible. So material nature is both the material cause, which means it provides a material, and then it makes the material into the shape, just like the clay pot and the potter. No, not clear?
It's clear now.
It's clear, okay. So we will understand this as we go along, as we mature into this understanding. So text 26. But over and above, because of Purusha, because of the seer, you see the atheistic Sankhya philosophers will say that Prakriti itself is responsible for the creation. There is no upadhan. But our upadhan, our primary cause, is actually Purusha. So Purusha is actually responsible for Prakriti to create. Without Purusha, but the atheistic Sankhya people will say that the Prakriti itself works independently of Ishvara. But that is not our philosophy. That's why Prabhupada said the atheistic Sankhya people, they think that this is the Prakriti itself changes by itself. But the Prakriti cannot change by itself without mixture of consciousness. So consciousness works, and the Supreme Consciousness works in conjunction with Prakriti to make it change. Is this too complicated, or you can understand and follow?
Yeah, I can follow with this. I don't know of others, but I think the explanation is clear.
Rasavan?
The big bang.
Yeah, we can understand. But sometimes the question that arises as to what pricks the mind of certain people to dive into that line of thought of trying to eliminate the Purusha from the total manifestation.
Because there are all sorts of people. Because those who are jnanis, they will understand it systematically by the process of ascending knowledge. So they go step by step. They try to understand it by their own effort. We don't do that. We take it from descending process. So we take it from authority, so therefore we can understand. But the other jnanis and the Sankhyas and the yogis, they try to understand it like this. So that's why they come to this kind of conclusion. Okay?
Yeah. Like the scientists, they believe in big bang theory by the scientists.
Yes. Yeah, those, yeah, things like that, yeah. All right, so text 26, is it?
Yeah, 26.
Yep. Kala vritya tu mayayam gunamayam adukshaja purushena atma bhutena viryam adata viryavan The Supreme Law, living being, in his feature as the transcendental Purusha incarnations, who is the Lord's plenary expansion, impregnates the material nature of the free modes, and thus by the influence of material time, the living entities appear. So here he impregnates the material nature of free modes, that means Prakriti, and thus by influence of eternal time, the living entities appear. So what does he impregnate it with? He impregnates it with time, Kala, and the Jivas. So there's two glances, these two glances of Karanodakshaya Vishnu. The first glance, he impregnates the Jivas into material nature, and the second glance, he impregnates Kala. Or the first glance is Kala. So there's two glands. One is Kala, time, and the other one is Jiva. So when Mahavishnu, he looks at Prakriti, these two things come into the creation, into the unmanifest material energy. Okay, so then this unmanifest material energy, because pradhana, right, which has all the ingredients for creation, becomes agitated by the free modes of nature. Why becomes agitated? Because the desire of the living entity is together with the living entities come in, and time factor. So two things. You have to be really awake now to follow this. Okay, so the supreme living being in his feature as transcendental Purusha incarnation, who is the Lord's plenary expansion, impregnates the material nature of free modes. He impregnates a material nature, which is made of free modes. He impregnates a material nature, right? By the influence of eternal time, and the living entities appear. Okay, so are we able to understand this? I want you all to read this, and next week or tomorrow, we shall explain this point here. Hare Krishna. This Karanodakshai, this material nature, pradhana, and the whole thing of Mahatattva, it starts from this text here that we've just read, 25 onwards. 25, 26, and to follow. Okay, so Maitreya Rishi here explaining the process of creation from 22 onwards. 22, 23, 24, he lays out some general premises and explains the whole process of why the Lord wants to create, because he's wanting. He wants to wake up his wife called material nature, okay, to enjoy with her. So he laid the premises 22, 23, 24. Now he explains the technology of creation in 25, to borrow a word from our Bhakti Tirtha Swami. Okay, the technology of creation is now put into action 25 onwards, right? 25 gives a general idea that he is a seer. He is looking, he's seeing. Why does the word seer is used? He is seeing. Oh, material energy, two glands, injects time, injects the jivas. Therefore, he becomes the immediate cause of creation. And now material energy will become the nimitta karana. Right? It's not that the prakriti, the material energy, will transform by itself without the purusha, which is the understanding of the atheistic Sankhya philosophy. No, the Lord is a seer. So 25 is a very important verse. He is a samdrushta, and through the agency of Prakriti Maya, right, will now work both as a cause and effect. Once the Lord has impregnated the jivas and time, now the material energy will work both as cause and effect, which is called sadasat atmika, and the whole material creation will manifest. Any confusion?
Hmm.
Hare Krishna,
Chitra
Prabhu.
Prabhu? Yes, Madhavan.
Well, there's confusion, but this thing is just by glance, Krishna originates. That is potency from our own. When we have to, before we impregnate somebody, we have to go through sexual activities. Krishna, even in his eyes, glances, was to impregnate the material nature. So that's
Can someone repeat the question? I didn't understand.
I'm also
okay.
not hearing.
What I'm saying is, okay, you are not hearing me.
We can hear
What
you
I'm
not clear.
Okay. What I'm saying is that with
Mute,
Krishna,
mute Salika. If everyone mute, maybe we can.
Okay. Okay. Well, what I'm only saying is that the activities of Krishna is superhuman, or since just with his glance alone, we relate. Unlike the other living entities, we cannot do that except if we go through sexual activities. But we can see now. Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Oh,
Yeah, we can hear you,
lying.
Madhavan, problem. But I think it's not very clear.
Okay, maybe I should. Okay, what about now?
Yeah, you can try.
Let me change my. Okay, only is that Christian activities is superhuman. In the sense that it impregnates even with life. Whereas with the entities, we cannot do that. We can only do it using our sexual activity to impregnate.
Yeah, what is the question? You were trying to talk, you were talking about the Lord.
I'm just making a comment about the extraordinary activities of Krishna.
Okay. Now I think I understand what you're trying to say. That the Lord can impregnate just by his glance, but the Leonity has to impregnate by contact. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm saying.
I'm saying is it's not the same kind of impregnation. He's injecting all the jivas into Prakriti together with time. And in the womb of Prakriti. And now Prakriti will become agitated and will transform into Mahatattva. And the agitation will be caused by the free modes of material nature. And the Upadhan Karana will be the Supreme Lord's glands. And the Nimitta Karana will be the modes of material nature. And then from there on, the modes of material nature will go through a successive changes by different modes, different frequencies, Rajo, Tamo, and Sattva Gun, which we will discuss in the verses to continue tomorrow. But I would advise you all, please, if you want to participate in the class nicely, which is a very interesting class, Prabhupada puts a lot of effort into explaining it, the purport and everything. I would suggest that concentrate on reading again the text 25, 24, 25, 26, or the whole actually 22 to 38, 22 to 38, which is 24 verses. And we will try to explain these tomorrow for 2 hours. This is the process of creation explained by Maitreya Rishi to Vidura. And it's a very interesting way he's explained. And today, hopefully, I will send you a diagram, couple of diagrams if I get time. Yeah, I think I will get the time to do that. And it will also confirm my own understanding by presenting it to you. So I think we can stop here, unless you have some other questions. Any other questions?
None from my end.
No. Any question, Prabhu? No? Okay, thank you. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Danda Pranam.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Prabhu, can we have a meeting with
The time premiums. So
yeah,
they are
yes?
yeah.